Okay, so texturing. That's what we're here to do. Let me introduce you to your new favorite place for texturing in Maya. You're going to go to Windows, Rendering Editors, and Hypershade. This is where you're going to build out your textures, and it seems overwhelming at first, but I promise you it's not that bad. Now, there are a ton of different modules and nodes in here. We don't have to worry about things like Arnold. We can create some pretty basic things because we're going to take all of this into Unity anyway and use its renderer, so we don't have to do anything special in here. All we're going to be doing is creating a material, a basic Maya material, and adding textures to it. So if I just click right here and go to Maya, mostly what we're going to be doing is using Lamberts for this tutorial. We're not going to get into all this other stuff. Eventually you may want to, but for right now we're just going to stick with Lambert. And what it did is it created a new Lambert and it called it Lambert 3. It would have been Lambert 2, but I had deleted one previously, so it just increments up. So we're going to go ahead and rename this to Brick right here. Okay, see, and it changes the name here in the node. And if you're not familiar with these, we can zoom in and out here, or we can pan around. We don't even need to use the Alt key, but you can use the Alt key to pan around. You can scroll in and out. So you just hold the Alt key and use the middle mouse button to move in, or zoom in with the rolling of the middle mouse button. Okay, and so what this is this is a shader network. It may seem overwhelming right now, but I promise it's not that hard to understand. This is basically a visual representation of things we're plugging into these shaders to make them work. Right. Up here are the shaders we have built, or that default. So Lambert 1, Particle, and Shader Glow. All these are defaults whenever you first open the program. This one is the one we're currently building. And as we make changes to it, this will display the changes on this object. And we could change this to be different objects, kind of, to get a better feel for what we're looking at. But I think this shader ball will work just fine for us. So what we want to do is we want to add a texture to this. That's really easy. If we just go over here to color, click this button right here, we're going to get this file node right here. Select that. And then under image name, we're going to click this button. And I have gone ahead and put a bunch of these in your project files. And if we click through them, you'll get to see kind of some textures we may or may not use for this project. So let's go and pick this red brick right here. Go ahead and hit open, and you can see it automatically puts it on the shader ball, and I could navigate around the shader ball using the Alt left mouse button, kind of get a look at it, or I should be able to see it in my scene. However, I don't see it anywhere on this object, and there's probably one or two good reasons for that. One, we have not actually added anything to this object. So if we wanted to add this texture to the object, we could select this object, right click on it, and say assign material to selection. And there we have it. It looks quite wonderful, as you can see. Now, if you didn't see anything happen in your viewport, more than likely what you'll have to do is go shading and hardware texturing. If I turn that off, see, I won't see anything either. So make sure shading, hardware texturing are on. Many students miss that one because it doesn't default to being on. So if you don't see anything happen after you right click and assign material to selection, go shading, hardware texturing. Okay. So now we have to fix this ugly texture right here. And what we can do is if we go back into our Hypershade network, we click this one, we can right click and say Graph Network. All that does is it pops it down here so we can see what we're doing a little better. We're going to click on this Place 2D Texture node right here. And under Repeat UVs, let's put like 25 on both of those. And then watch what happens in here. Okay, so that looks a lot better. Now, I do see that we have some problem areas right here, but that's okay. Overall, it looks pretty decent. And we can go back and change it. We could take this texture into Photoshop. There's all kinds of things we could do. We're going to keep it simple for this one, but we are going to have to fix some of these areas. So now we're going to assign some textures locally for like the windows, for instance. So how can we do that? We can go back into component mode, select faces, and we can select these faces up here, and we can go ahead and create a new texture for them. If we just right click, say assign new material, we can go ahead, click Maya, go to Lambert, and There it is, Lambert 4. We're going to name it window 1 or top window. Just like that. And we're going to go to its color. And we're going to assign a file. And we're going to click on that file button. And let's pick a good window for up top there. How about that one right there? I like that quite a bit actually. We'll hit open. And what we should have is, oof, very ugly right there. Okay, so we have a problem here where this does not look good at all. So there isn't actually an easy solution for that. I'm going to introduce something called UVs right now. So what is a UV? A UV is a texture coordinate. It's basically XY, but they didn't want to confuse people because XY had already been taken for 3D space. So they didn't want to confuse people, but we needed a 2D coordinate system for textures. And they got the default names of UV, and that's the story behind that. So I'm going to go back to face, select this face right here, and I'm going to go up here to UVs, and what we're going to do is we're going to just apply a planar UV right here. See that? Now what that did was it applied a planar UV to this, which should have been flat. However, we got our coordinates wrong. So I'm going to Control Z that. So if we go up here to UV again, and we go to planar, we can pick a different axis. It was on the x-axis. We can now click the z-axis and hit apply, and boom, there we go. We've fixed our window problem. We could also go in here and scale up, scale down, or further manipulate this, but I'm not going to worry about that. So let's go ahead and repeat that process. Let's go into this window, and we can just hit project, and we'll fix that one. Go into this one, UVs, planar, and since we've already selected that Z, it's going to default to it for the rest of these. And just like that, we have top windows. Okay, great. That looks excellent. So now we can go down here and we can work on these windows right here. So let's go ahead and select these right here. And let's make a new texture for them. So I'll right click and I'll say assign new material. We will go ahead and pick another Lambert. This one we're going to name Window 2. You can name it whatever you like. We'll click on this icon right here to attach a file. And then we will select that file and we'll pick a different window. How about these barred windows? That looks great with the little, can of soda or whatever. Hit open. And once again, we're going to have that same problem. So let's go ahead and click here and we'll fix it again. UV, planar. Now we didn't mess with these manipulators before, but I'm going to go ahead and mess with them now because I don't think this looks like it's stretched out quite a bit. So if we just select this right here, we can go ahead and scale it up like that. And I think that looks a lot better. Okay, let's do the same thing over here. UV, planar, and I will scale that one back up as well. Like that. Select this one, UV, planar. Scale it up just a little bit. Select this one. And this time I want to show you something else just in case you get lost. A lot of students have this happen. We'll go UV, planar, and then I'll click away. How do I get back to that dialog where I can scale? If I hit the scale tool and scale, it's just going to scale that polygon and not the actual planar projection there. So how can I get to that? That is a great question. So the next window you'll be in constantly when doing texturing work is under Windows, Modeling Editors, and UV Editor. This is where we can get to the individual UVs for the polygon we have selected, or the component we have selected. So now here it is again, and I can scale it up or down like I did before. So I'll scale it up like that. And as you can see now, we've fixed that window. And I could go ahead and select it again and make changes just like that. And this shows the image that we're on and then the component. So you can see this is full scale and we can take it down. In fact, we could use this tool to make sure they're all match up perfectly by selecting them. So if any of them were off, we'd be able to match it up to these bars right here. And it looks like we did a pretty good job there. So that is the UV editor. There's a whole lot more to learn about it, but that's a basic introduction to it right now. We'll stop there and come back and finish up some of these other texturing tasks in the next video.